then he's off to do First Take. I wanted to get in this thought on his beloved Chicago Bears. Because look at the NFC North. DraftKings Sportsbook says the Bears are the third best team in the division. They have the Lions, who didn't make the playoffs last year, as the slight favorites over the Packers. The Bears, who won the division last year for the first time since 2018, have the third best odds to win the division since 2026. So I wanted to start with Lewis. Lewis, the Bears, the overwhelming majority of the offseason talent acquisition period has come and gone, meaning free agency and the draft. There'll still be some moves here and there. But bottom line, are the Bears in position, in your mind, to win that division again?
Yeah, I think they are. Look, number one, first and foremost, this isn't even about talent acquisition. It's the fact that Caleb Williams gets the benefit from the fact that he has everything in place once again in terms of coaching staff. Same voices in his head, same people teaching the same things this offseason, where now he can really dig into the offense as far as how to really take his game to another level. Weapon-wise, they're loaded. They're as good as really any team in the NFL. When you think about the backs that they have, the offensive line that they have, bringing Xavier Thomas in there along with Luther Burden and guys like Roma Dunze, that's as good as you can get. Colston Loveland, are you kidding me? This team is stocked. It's stacked as far as the offensive side of the football.
Kmart, Chicago.
Listen, I cover them in the playoffs. I'm actually surprised that they would be third.
Yeah, I don't get where that comes from.
That's the only thing I don't.
Hardest schedule in the league. Hardest one.
Hey, Mike, I get it. I get that.
Well,
I get that. I understand. But even so, because I'm looking at the rest of the division, I understand. If you said Packers, you thought the Packers would win the division. Okay, the Lions, that's the team to me where despite the amount of weapons that they have, the amount of times that they've been inching closer to the playoffs, made the playoffs, they don't seem to get it done. So, and they've made so many changes with their coaching staff. So I just look at the Bears and I just think that they have a better team.
I feel there are two lanes of thought with the Bears. They're a prime candidate for regression because you won't force that many turnovers again, and the schedule was hard, now it gets easy. There's that lane of thought. And then there's the Caleb Williams now with another year in Ben Johnson's offense is going to take that next step up, and they are a prime candidate to make a Super Bowl run lane. As a fan and an analyst, which lane do you find yourself in?
All of it.
All of it.
All of it's true. I mean, look, Caleb is going to have stability for the first time since high school.
Yeah.
Okay, so what Lewis points out is fact. The Bears were picked fourth last year, so I pay no attention to Vegas and odds, none. But you're looking at this, the Bears could be a better team, right, and not have as good a record, not win 11 games. That is very possible given the schedule, which I believe starts out in Seattle on a Wednesday night. Come on, the schedule's impossible. The other thing is, and this is what they didn't do during the draft, and I like
here comes the fan
overwhelming. No, I know, Kimberly, you're not old enough to remember when I actually covered these things for decades. They didn't help at all one of the things that was most deficient about that team, which is the pass rush. I think they were 21st in pressure. 21st. They did not do it. Now, Ben Johnson has said, one, we're going to coach them better. And there are people coming back from injury, Shamar Turner, that we believe will help this team, even though we're not just bringing them in now as rookies. I hear him. I want him to be right. But I'm looking at, Lewis, a 4-2-8 receiver. I know when you're an offensive coach like Ben Johnson, you want that ace in your deck. Yeah. I get it. Yeah. But at the expense of, if they can't put Sam Darnold on the ground on a Sunday in January, because they've got a receiver who can only impact the game 2 or 3 times a game, maybe 8 times a year, we're going to be angry. But we got some time.
Did they do enough for their defense?
Look, I think, Dylan Thieneman's going to really help him at safety. Malik Muhammad's going to really help him at corner. That's the guy who went viral for not having any reaction when they picked him in the fourth. Right. But these guys are really good football players now. And see, that's the thing. See, we look at all these game-changing positions all the time, and rightfully so, as being the only things that really matter in terms of trying to project future performance. But Dylan Thieneman is going to be a huge, huge addition. Malik Muhammad is going to be a huge addition.
Yep.
Xavier Thomas is 4.28 in the 40 now, and he's a good receiver. They're going to put up points. Caleb's going to go off this year.
I got 10 seconds. Caleb going to make that next step? Is he the next?
Yeah, I'm a
superstar?
believer in Caleb, for real.
Same.
I am too.
Absolutely.
I think Caleb
I don't
was a
understand
star
how you
written
doubt
all
him.
over
Yeah.
All right, Michael Wilbon, a terrific hour today. He'll be with us for the full 2 hours tomorrow. Always our honor to have you here. He'll be with Stephen A. and Company coming up at 10 Eastern here on First Take. In the meantime, we'll
Did anyone think when I said Ariana that we met Maddox from Vanderpump Rules?
Anyone who got
Scandival.
Anyone who got that,
Tom
that I
Sandoval.
said that.
St. Louis. St. Louis guy.
You want to play some of his
and now
music?
West, also from Missouri, state of Missouri, creating
From the Summer
Bravo
House stuff?
villains.
Yeah.
Just left and right.
Wow. All
I
right.
think I'm from Illinois.
I'm what? You just changed where you're from? We are on Sportsmanlike here on ESPN Radio. ESPN2. We are presented by Progressive Insurance. Smalls, you were off yesterday in Pittsburgh with your dad seeing baseball, which is great. I want to direct people back to the podcast because you had private investigators, Courtney Cronin and Evan Cohen yesterday, trying to connect every possible dot between Ty Simpson and the Rams.
I was tuned in.
And we did it.
You
We
did a very thorough
There's
job.
actually no drama unless you believe, to use a CC term, a sports lie is a horrible thing. Which I don't think anyone. And when he says sports lie, and I love that the way he does it, prefaces it with sport. A lie is telling somebody something in real life that's just not true. A sports lie is, no, we're not interested in the player, and then you draft the player. Whatever. Nobody's harmed by that, right? What?
Well, with the Rams, I think you can drop the sports in front of it.
Oh God, I forgot who I'm talking to here with your hatred towards that
A
team.
lie is a lie.
Okay. Anyway, Courtney and I think, connected every dots from the Ty Simpson interview with Amber and Ian, 7 p to 10 p Eastern time, where he said he had these secret meetings, to Adam Schefter joining us and saying the reason that McVay looked a little bit off with the draft is because if he celebrated the Simpson pick, it would have come off as a negative towards Stafford, and Stafford's his guy. They won the Super Bowl together. They're close, the whole deal, right? Courtney and I left the show yesterday. What is the issue?
You don't find there to be some discrepancies in those competing timelines of stories?
Not at all.
At all?
Did you discover something that we didn't?
So they say we didn't meet. Fine. You want to keep this under wraps because giving a stamp of approval to a quarterback from Sean McVay and this organization would definitely garner interest heading into the draft.
And that was Courtney's big theme, and I think she's 100% right about that.
Which I can completely understand. That's not what I'm talking about. The discrepancy I'm talking about is how the Rams, specifically Sean McVay, said that before they made the pick, they told Matthew Stafford, and he, quote, handled it like a stud. He's an absolute stud. Couldn't be more of a stud. He's going to wrap his arm around this guy, help mentor him. He's totally on board with this. He's a stud. Well, if you spoke to him before the pick, and he's such a stud, why then the melancholy? Why then the big dramatics? Why then did you have to feign like you were at odds with your GM over this pick if he took it so well?
Melancholy and fame, good setup. I'm not going to take the bait on either one of them. Well, then let's hear from Les Snead, Rams general manager, who was on the Pat McAfee show yesterday, giving an explanation as to why Ty Simpson initially lied about meeting with McVay.
Here's where it went awry. We do like to emphasize, Pat, hey, look, try to keep these private meetings between us, right? For that gamesmanship. Just, we'd like for other teams not to know we're interested, right? So we do emphasize that a little stronger than most. Try to keep it between us, so if you go to another team and they ask, a lot of times teams will ask, where have you visited? I know this, a lot of teams will keep up. Where's players been on top 30s? Where have they, who was at the pro day, right? And you're trying to, at the end of the day, figure out who may take a player or who may not. So we emphasize, keep it quiet. Felt really bad for Ty. He stayed on script.
Okay.
Almost too much.
Why too much, Courtney?
Well, because right after the draft, so he gets drafted, and he makes it seem like he's never had any contact with the Los Angeles Rams.
Said, I've never spoken to Sean McVay.
Like,
he didn't get the go-ahead that he's allowed to crack until
I think that after you've been drafted that it's okay to be like, he kept the secret all along. He did exactly what they wanted him to do and didn't tell other teams, but he played this thing out, and he created, by not telling the truth or not being forthcoming, rather, he created the narrative that then had to be walked back via the Amber and Ian show, and then Les Snead going on McAfee yesterday to explain, apparently they're the only team in the NFL that tells their prospective draftees don't say anything or don't tell the truth about it. But I feel like this if this ultimately leads to a succession plan that works, all of this stuff that happened during the draft and the days after the draft and Sean McVay's body language are a non-story. But like Michelle said, there still are questions. Like, what was Sean McVay actually upset about? Was it something in his personal life? Was it something else during the draft? Or was he that good of an actor? I just don't believe it because we know his poker face normally is not great. We've talked about this before. All the dots are mostly connected. I feel like if this truly was a setup of sorts to get us to believe one thing, what was it for? Because you still got the guy you wanted. You didn't have to move, you didn't have to move anywhere in the draft, and you may be playing 4D chess while everybody else is playing checkers by getting a quarterback a year ahead of when you needed to, and maybe he is the right succession plan to help you stay on the trajectory of being one of the best teams in the NFC.
Yeah, when it comes to this organization, I always operate by the mantra, if someone shows you who they are, believe them. And with this organization, to me, when they are not truthful publicly, there's a reason why. And I think it goes beyond, we talked prior to the draft, we wanted to keep it under wraps because, as Schefter said, he didn't think that anybody else was checking for Ty Simpson in the first round. So you really kept
that was per unsportsmanlike, by the way.
Per unsportsmanlike, yes.
Listen back to the podcast.
Schefter not convinced that Ty Simpson would have been a first rounder if it wasn't for the Rams. I understand wanting to keep a certain veil of secrecy around this because of the offensive genius of your head coach and the way that it would garner interest from other teams. I understand that. But the discrepancies post-pick are what really get me and are things that I'm paying attention to because we've seen this historically in the NFL in the past. When the new guy is drafted while the incumbent guy is still playing at a high level, it does not go over well all the time. And if Matthew Stafford took it like such a stud, the way that Sean McVay is conveying, then why did you need to give this Oscar-worthy performance acting like you were really upset with the pick? Just flagged something to me, that's all.
Yeah, I mean, all I can tell you is every ounce of reporting with every single person that is connected directly to that organization currently. You have history connected to that organization, covering them when they were in St. Louis.
Just asking some questions.
Right. Everybody that's currently connected to the organization tells you there is no issue here. There's no schism. There's no divide. Everyone's on the